What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. We got a major story brewing that is going to potentially rock the United States here. Take a look. The United Auto Workers overwhelmingly vote to authorize strikes at GM, Ford, and Stellantis, as 97% of them vote to strike. This comes after UPS also just went through this same thing and ended up with a major contract raise, benefit raise for UPS workers, which led to this. How a UPS driver, which will now end up with $170,000 a year when including benefits, when the end of their contract will come within a few years here. A UPS driver, when full time, when including benefits, will be able to earn up to $170,000 a year when full time, including all their benefits and packages and everything included. It's UPS drivers has now become one of the hottest job searches around the country. That's a lot of money. Again, and that includes all the benefits and everything included. $170,000 a year. That's a well-paying job. Now, UPS has about 350,000 workers in the United States, and maybe even a lot more here coming soon. And you got to remember here that this is a double-edged sword, because as they're going to be paying that amount, one can just figure that costs are going to be rising, aka inflation. And now we're starting to see this trickle down into many other industries. We're seeing this happen in Amazon, Walmart, McDonald's. As they're having to pay more for workers, what do you think happens to costs? They go up. It's just common sense. We're seeing this pretty much everywhere. And now we're going to see this happen in the auto industry. Take a look. Yeah, United Auto Workers members overwhelmingly granted union leaders authorization to call strikes during ongoing contract negotiations with the three largest automakers in the United States: General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis. Stellantis, if you're wondering, makes 16 different brands, including Ram, Jeep, Maserati. You can see all the different brands here on the screen. Dodge, Chrysler. So yeah, there's significant amount of cars, trucks, SUVs made there under Stellantis. Yeah, the union said on Friday an average of 97% of combined members at the automakers approved the action. Final votes are still being tallied. That's in line with support during negotiations 4 years ago, when 96% of workers voted to support authorization of a strike as well. You can see the common occurrence on how they get raises over and over again. The strike authorization vote is part of the union's constitution and viewed of a procedural step in the negotiation. The vote resulting are historically high in support of a strike. This vote does not mean that there will or will not be a strike here, though, coming soon. Our goal is not a strike. I want to make that clear. Our goal is to bargain good agreements for our members. But we've all tried to do this with preparation in the event that we have to take action to get a fair and just contract. Quote, the big three is our strike target. And whether or not there is a strike, it's up to Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, because they know what our priorities are. We've been clear. Those priorities are far richer than the prior contract negotiations. The union's demand are a 46% wage increase. Wow. Restoration of traditional pensions as well. Cost of living increases, I guess, in addition to the 46%. Reducing the work week to 32 hours from 40 hours. So I think that means going down to a 4-day work week. Yeah, because 8 times 4 would be 32. So I think this means, you can let me know your thoughts here in the comments, that they want a 46% wage increase, and they want to go down to a 4-day work week, because it says reducing the work week to 32 hours from 40, and increasing retiree benefits. Yeah, you can see here the UAW president says he wants to be offensive on the Big 30 negotiations, a 32-hour work week. The UAW has more than $825 million in its strike fund. That's almost $1 billion, which it uses to pay eligible members who are on strike. Wow. Wow. Which it uses to pay eligible members who are on strike up to $500 per week, up from $275 per week last year. So I guess they're ready to go. Assuming 150,000 workers would be covered by the contract, strike pay could cost the union about $75 million per week. So that could cover up to 11 weeks. That doesn't include healthcare. Now, just a quick search here. The average General Motors salary in Ohio, which is not a high cost of living state at all, says it's $76,000 for full time, anywhere between $46,000 and $124,000 per year in Ohio, which is not a high cost of living state. The other thing here is that here's something to consider. The average car payment now for a new vehicle is $725 a month. This is something to really consider. Up from year over year, up 11.5% from a year ago. A new lease payment is $586. Leases are a little bit less expensive because you don't have equity in them. So, I mean, you kind of get the idea here. Used car payments are about $516, but you can see that these are extremely expensive here. And don't get me wrong, a lot of this has to do with interest rates being expensive here, but still very, very expensive. And according to Kelley Blue Book, the average new cost here, this was at the beginning of 2023 in January. The average new cost is about $50,000 now. $50,000. This was at the beginning of January, so this is not, here near the end of January, or near the end of 2023. So keep that in mind. So this is a double-edged sword, as I said, guys, because these guys are going to get raises no matter what. It's going to be some kind of raise. They're seeking a 46% raise. They're going to get something. They're going to get something close to that at least. And they're also seeking a 32-hour work week, which is really like a 4-day work week. And this is only going to make car prices go up. At least something, no matter what. Yeah, and it's like this is where inflation is the driver of, this is the nitty-gritty stuff that like a lot of everyday people don't, they'll blame it on the government or the president or, whatever, this, that, and the other thing. This is the stuff that like a lot of average everyday people don't really grasp. And workers want more. And this is interest rates are going up and up and up, and interest rates have a lot to do with it. We talk a lot about interest rates here on our show. And don't get me wrong, that has a lot to do with your payments here. And this also has to do with used cars, because what happened is these new cars become used cars in 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years. Okay. And this is such a problem for our country. And it's not just our country, don't get me wrong, because the exact same thing is happening in Europe. The exact same thing is happening in China. The exact same thing is happening in Germany. Italy, no matter where you're talking about, they're dealing with the same problems. In fact, in Europe, inflation is higher in most of Europe. Mm. In fact, gasoline and diesel is actually higher in almost all of Europe. I mean, gasoline over there is $6, $7 a gallon. You know, they sell it by the liters over there. Uh, it's worse over there. If you've been watching my show for a while, you know that we've covered that. Uh, and honestly, I don't know if I was the president, what can you do about this? Like, I mean, these guys want their raises. They do this, it looks like every 4 years for the auto workers. UPS guys want their raises. Walmart people want their raises. Amazon people want their raises. What what could you do there? And this is where, yeah, a really, really tough situation here. And if you're a company, when you're going to pay out these millions or billions of dollars, I mean, you've seen the strike fund alone for the auto workers union was almost $1 billion. They have $1 billion sitting in their fund for a strike, just sitting there for a rainy day. They're going to go to the negotiation table and they're going to say, hey, listen, we got almost $1 billion sitting there just to stick it to you for a strike fund. And that's sitting there earning interest in the savings account. I mean, you know, money market funds nowadays could pay 5% right now because of how high interest rates are. You could go to Vanguard money market accounts and they're paying about 5% right now. So they're earning 5% on their cash right now. Wow, on almost $1 billion. What a tough predicament you're in if you're a company right now and they're looking at saying, "Hey, we want a 46% raise and we want to go down to a 4-day work week." And it's tough because it's like you want to take care of your workers on one hand, but on the other hand, it's like a 46% raise and you want to go down to a 4-day work week. And these companies can't go down to 4 days production. They have to stay at their 5-day production or 6-day or 7-day production, whatever they're on. So if they actually give in to that demand, that just means that they have to, if they actually go down to 4 days work week for those people, they have to have more people come in on the other days. So they have to just rotate the workers to the other days. It's an absolute nightmare. And all this is going to do is raise the price of cars and trucks and SUVs even more, guys, even more. So you got to really understand the economic picture here because this is going to raise prices across the board. When UPS has to give in to those demands to prevent a strike, because if they had a strike, all it's going to do is cost them money and create an economic, disaster, and eventually they're going to have to give in to some kind of demands anyways. Same thing here with this auto union workers. Like, yeah, they could go into a strike, but eventually they'd have to come down to an agreement anyways. Eventually it's going to have to be like, all right, we have to come to some kind of compromise between the workers. Like, you want to take care of your workers, but you also got to come to some kind of compromise anyways, right? So at the end of the day, it's going to raise prices one way or another. And honestly, this wouldn't matter if there was a Republican president or a Democratic president. Like, it wouldn't matter much, right? These guys are going to come to the table and say, hey, we want a massive raise or we want a fair raise or whatever it is. And they're going to be like, look, we have $1 billion in our fund. This is what we want. We feel like we deserve it. And then the auto workers or the companies are going to be like, all right, well, now that we are going to have to pay this much out more per year, every single year for the next 4 years. And then guess what? 4 more years later, they're going to come back to the negotiating table again and want another raise in another 4 years. And on and on and on and on for the auto industry and for the shipping industry and for the airline industry and all these industries. And then you can kind of picture why this happens to inflation and all the industries combined. And again, you can just put any president in there Doesn't really matter who wins the next election because that auto industry is going to sit down in 4 more years and be at that negotiating table 4 years from now and want that next big raise, no matter who the president is. Yeah, so this is part of my channel here to bring you guys the truth on what really is happening. A lot of this stuff isn't really covered in this light because guess what? This is one of the drivers of why car prices go up, on why shipping prices go up, on why airline tickets go up, on why the prices of all this stuff goes up. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here on all this stuff. But as of right now, they have voted to have a strike in the near future. I'll keep you up to date here. Make sure to click the subscribe button down below and the bell icon. If you haven't yet, make sure to like and share this video with anybody that needs to hear this or on social media, Facebook or Twitter. Click here to see what the Fed just said about inflation, or click here to see the new mandates that are already being imposed here in the United States. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.